Aloha YouTube. Starver putting your product here, and today I'm going to be doing a deck profile on one of my decks for Card Fight Vanguard called Ezel Scissors. And so this is a very interesting deck that's very powerful in this format because of the, of course, Link Jokers getting so much support in the new series and this stupid new set. Link Jokers is a clan based on locking your opponent's units and getting a bunch of boosts by doing that. And so today I'm going to be doing a very thorough, I think a slightly more thorough deck review of my Vanguard Ezel deck. Now Ezel, if you don't know, his ability is essentially to unlock all your rear guards, which is a huge bonus, and then it gives you a plus 10k and a crit. But you're going to see that, and I'm going to explain the cards, and then I'm going to go through at the end in cards to consider, air quotes, because these are cards that you can either use as different forerunners, different starting vanguards, different crits and stuff. Because my deck's a little unconventional because of what I've been playtesting and what I like. Coming from games where rush is very relevant, I like to play decks that are rush. So sorry about my shadow. The lighting's a little weird, but let's get on with it. I choose to start with this guy, Spring Breeze Messenger. Now, most people start with Kriff or the Corrin or Karia, but I like this guy because he's a very basic, he's a general gold paladin support. He says when he boosts a Vanguard and you hit the opponent's Vanguard, counterblast 1 and superior call one rear guard off the top 3 cards of the deck. Which is really good because that adds pressure. You can choose a better rear guard, essentially a 7k rear guard instead of him. You're hitting for bigger numbers, and your opponent is just like, oh my god. Because if they crossroad, you definitely want to say 7k behind your Vanguard. So I just like him because it's one counterblast. It can go off any turn. Doesn't need Ezel, and it's just a pretty card, pretty guy. So Spring Breeze Messenger. Now my lineups for triggers is a little unconventional, which is I just want to show it so that you can see. I run 7 crit. Now that's not because, and I know that you guys are going to say, oh, you're not running 4 Flame of Victory. I promise, when I get a 4th one, I will be running 4 Flame of Victory. But I run 7 crit. Now, most people in this format run 8 crit because it's rush, and I just said I like rush, but not in this case. See, I found that my deck has no draw, really, so, and I'm calling a bunch of cards to the rear guard. Even though I am superior calling, I am calling a lot to the rear guard, so I need more draw. So instead of 4 draw, I teched in a 5th draw. Whoa! It's like, whoa, crazy. So now I'm running 5 draw. I'm thinking I might add a 6th one, but I've noticed that because of this 5th draw, Mr. Gwydion over here, I've actually drawn more cards. Now, you definitely want to use this draw trigger because it actually has an effect. When it's superior called, you give 2k to anybody, and sometimes you'll fall into a situation where you call a rear guard and it's superior called and it's this shitty guy, a shitty trigger, and you want him or Flame of Victory. Now Flame of Victory is actually really good because he gives you soul. Put him in soul plus 3k. Aqua Force has one for, I think it's a draw trigger or whatever. So he's good, and this guy's also good. You are trading the 1k power, but you really don't need that. And you'll see why. It doesn't really matter. And then for heal, again, you can use any card art you want. I personally love the card art on Elixir Elixir Liberator. Alright, then my grade 1s are going a little more unconventional, but it's pretty much the same. We got 4 Halo Shield Mark. That's the perfect guard. Beautiful guy. You can run the Liberator one if you want, or run some Quintet Walls. But there is not really a Legion yet, so Quintet Walls. Not really. And then 4 Knight of Passion Torre. Now I said I'm a very rush player. I see a lot of people only running 3 of him. No sir, he's a 10k attacker. He's an initiator, so 10k boom boom. You're having a good day. And he's a 7k booster. So if you get him behind the Vanguard, it's not the worst thing in the world. And then we've got Secret Twin Beast White Lion. He is really good. I would run 4 of him if he was more consistent and I had more Ezel support. He says if you have an Ezel when he's put in play, counterblast 1, give yourself a damage, and soul charge, which is really good because you need the soul. You want to get Ezel off at least 3 times a game, and for that you're going to need to muster up as many resources. He's still a 7k, he's still a grade 1. Who doesn't like a lion anyway? So he's cool. Now here's where I get a little unconventional because I'm running this girl. Player of the Holy Axe, Nimue. Now I love superior calling, and this girl puts pressure. She has the same effect as Vivian, which is when she attacks and is boosted by a gold paladin and hits the vanguard, counterblast 1, superior call off the top of the deck, and it doesn't retire it, so you can actually attack with that card. Now I also run Vivian, but she's just, I was playtesting her, and I found that if I missed my grade 2, or I drew a bunch of cards, I could play her, and she would put pressure on my opponent, and my opponent would have to guard something, so I would get that extra superior call, get that extra rear guard for my later game. And I run one of this guy. Really don't need him, but he's nice to hit as a vanguard. Yeah, he's just in there, to be honest. I just didn't take him out. Grade 2s, we got 4 of my good old buddy Bagdeamegus. He's a 12k attacker. You need to run 4. He's just a staple. 12k attackers are just so good. Plus, you know, they have intercepts or whatever. Then I run 3 Player of the Holy Bow Vivian. Most people run 2 because they want to run trip and all that. And again, I really want to add pressure on my opponent. I am highly recommending running the Undamage on Flipper, which you'll see in the cards to consider section. But she's really good. She's the same thing. If she hits your opponent's vanguard, Bile boosted, superior call at the top of the card deck for counter last 1. So really good. She's just, I mean, she's just generic. You know, and she's S-grad. So who wouldn't run her? And then 1 Beumain. So as you can see, my old build ran 4 Beumain for this dude and whatever, but he's just in here again because I didn't take him out. Oh, and I didn't take this guy out. 3 Eliwood, yeah. So he's also really good. People will tell me that he's a waste of time. He's gonna die if one can attack him, and you really just have to play around him. It says when you ride an Ezel, counterblast 1, superior call off the top of the deck. Now you might be saying, all these counterblasts, what are you doing? You're not going to have enough. That's again why you run damage on flippers, and that's where we go to things to consider. But so far it's worked out for me, and he really does get me that 1 card. And then if your opponent attacks him, that's a waste of their attack because you don't need him anymore. He's useless after you ride once. Then we've got our grade 3s. I run 1 Gancelot because I don't have a 4th Ezel. Never hit him. I mean, when I do, he's pretty good, but you don't really need him. 2 Blond Ezel. I gotta be honest with you, he has been pretty useless. You never use his effect. He's just an Ezel, so you get his Ezelness, if you want to. Is that a term? Ezelness? You get his Ezelness, but other than that, I much prefer running Platina. Or running 1 of this and some Platina, so if you get him in the soul, Platina is a cross ride. And this is Platina over here. Platina, if you want. Platina, which I used to think was a chick. He's an 11k, which is, you know, better than Ezel, who's a 10k. And of course, his ultimate break is if you're at 5 damage, counterblast 3, all your rear guards you have plus 5k. So you're hitting for massive numbers. And whenever I get it off, I usually win or whittle down my opponent so much that they just can't come back. They have nothing to call to rear guard. Nasty card right here. I would actually recommend, if I can get more, to running 2 or 3 because you really don't need Blond. It's not a bad, and he's 11k, so you're having a good time anyway. And then the heavy hitter, 4 times Salvation Lion, Grand Ezel Scissors. Now he is my avatar. He is the card of the deck. Ezel is my main deck that I currently have. And like I said before, his effect renews itself. It's amazing. His effect is Counterblast 2, Soul Blast 2. Obviously this is a limit break. It would be stupid if you didn't. Counterblast 2, Soul Blast 2. He gets plus 10k and a critical hit if you have 5 rear guards, and then you can unlock them. Of course, that's not the right order, but whatever, you unlock them. So against Link Jokers, they just take it takes a dump on Link Jokers, and you can keep your opponent at 3 damage and just keep hitting them with the crit. And if they keep perfect guarding it, you're fine because he renews himself. Because his second ability is at the end of the turn, he doesn't even have to hit, does nothing. Unflip a damage and get a soul charge. So let's say you don't have enough soul, you're gonna at least be able to attack twice if you hit all your rides, which is really good. So Grand Ezel, I really love him. And then I'm gonna stop the video really quick to show you the second part where I show you cards to recommend. So hold on a second. Alright, YouTube, I'm back with the cards to remember, to keep in consideration for this deck. This build I'm running is very aggro based. There's a lot of things you can do differently, and here are those things that you can do differently. So the 2 other starters for Ezel that you really want to use, there's a third one, but I don't have him, is Crimson Lion Cub Criff and Scarlet Lion Cub Karya. Now, Karya is I think more commonly used nowadays because she does get off consistently if you're lucky and it doesn't get locked. Her ability is when she boosts and you hit with an Ezel, counter nothing, just put her into the soul and you get to Superior Call 2 off the top of the deck, and obviously retired, which is good if you're missing a rear guard. If you're losing, it's just a good effect. I was running her originally, but I found that most people would always guard her, so it didn't really get her off as much. And then Crimson Lion Cub Criff is the Superior Calling dude. Now, for him, if you're running his build, you definitely need to, I mean, just as a staple, you need to run 4 Beumain, which one is in my deck, and 4 Gareth, the 8k and 10k. Essentially what his effect is if you have ridden Beumain, and you have Gareth in the rear guard, of course, you don't have to ride. It doesn't have to be in ride phase. It can be whenever. Put them all into the soul and Superior Call Blond Ezel from the deck, which is the 10k that Superior Calls 1 and gets a boost or whatever. I didn't really talk about him too much because, again, I don't really find him too useful. But if you really want to get that effect off, you went first. You're gonna be on grade 3 way before your opponent. You get a double drive check. It's really good. I find, however, that if you use Criff, you need to run more draw triggers because you're going to lose hand really quick. You're paying 3 cards, you have no rear guards, and you're not going to use Blond Ezel's effect unless you run a deck based on Blond Ezel. So that's the other starter. Again, that's if you wanted to run that. You would have to run 4 of each because that's his effect. You need them. Now back to grade 0s. If you do decide to run a variant that I don't have for Gancelot, the Break Ride. You could easily utilize stand triggers. This is a good stand trigger to use. It's Counterblast 1 and put it into the soul, so it gives you soul for Ezel, and its Superior Calls at the top of the card of the deck. If you have to summon it, which isn't too bad. But that variant uses 4 Solitary Liberator Gancelot and 4 Grand Ezel. That's all you have. And the deck is more heavily based on maybe Liberators with an Ezel mix. It's weird, I haven't tried it yet, but stand triggers would be good because you're utilizing that 5k boost you're getting to the rear guard. Hitting possibly for massive numbers. Even in the Ultimate Break version of the deck with Platina Ezel, still very good. Then, this is just a recommendation. You can run 4 of the Lion. This is just another grade 1 that you can run that does an okay effect. As a matter of fact, he's awful. Now that I think about it, I just put him in here because you can consider him. He's a grade 1, but I think Nimue is way better. Even though this one doesn't have to hit or anything, what it does is Counterblast 1 and put one of your rear guards into the soul and Superior Call, or retire it, and Superior Call a grade off the top of the deck. Really not worth it. You'd be better off running Blackmane Witch, which is put her in play, choose a rear guard, do the same thing instead of having to hit your opponent. Or it's just he was good in it at some point. You know, he's a grade 1. And then another card to consider: Damage on Flippers. The basic 5k damage on Flipper. The only reason I don't run him is because 5k is so small. Your opponent is going to probably you're going to go first, ride this. Your opponent's going to go, oh really? Alright, ride, call my Forerunner to the front. That's 2 attacks. I'll call something else. 3 attacks on the first turn. You're Scrooged if you have to ride him. If in most of the time you're forced to ride a perfect guard if you have him and a perfect guard. So, but in the same situation, he is good because you Soul Blast 2 to unflip 2. And that can continue your Ezel going. The only thing is if you do that, you may not have enough soul for Ezel. So while you're paying 2 soul to unflip 2, you have the Counterblast, but you don't have the soul. So really, there needs to be like a soul charger that just straight up soul charges for Ezel. And I think the deck will become way, way better. Then for some grade 2 considerations, we've got this chick right here. Major Calamity Trip. She is an unflipper. She attacks. I'll probably put her instead of Beumain because she's a 9k. She's fine. She unflips. Might run through her. I mean, who knows? I don't. Do you? I don't. But she has to hit the. Does she have to hit the Vanguard? Yeah, she has to hit the Vanguard, which is a really nice combo with Spring Breeze. Because if your opponent doesn't guard in this turn, which they probably won't, because Spring Breeze is not that bad, you would do Spring Breeze, do her, and then unflip the damage you Counterblast flipped for Spring Breeze. So you just got a free Superior Call off the top of the deck. And then the last thing to consider is just a funny little card that's a Shadow Paladin, also considered Gold Paladin, is Blaster Dark or Blaster Blade Spirit. Now, when they're Superior Called, Counterblast 1, retire one of your opponent's grade 2 or less rear guards in the front row. So it's just a mini Blaster Blade It is good, and it is a 10k. So if you're looking for a 10k, you could still run this. The only bad side is if you have it on rear guard, your opponent's gonna attack it and it dies instantly when it's attacked on rear guard. They don't have to even have the right number. So he's bad in that sense, but in the other sense that he is considered a gold paladin, even though he is a shadow paladin, and he can give you that extra retire power that you need. But thank you guys so much for watching my video. This is my deck, Ezel deck. It has so far been doing pretty good. It loses some decks, wins against others. Probably the worst matchup would be Spike Brothers, which I also run, so I know it is a bad matchup. Another bad matchup, let me think. Kagero can easily be, you know, because they and Narukami both can retire my rear guards, and even though I'm superior calling, they're just annoying, especially the end version with the cross ride and the break ride and the discard, and oh my god. And against Legion, I don't think this deck's gonna do too bad against Legion, because you can still put pressure on your opponent. They're only gonna be an 11k still, so it's fine. But thank you guys for watching my video. I hope you have a nice day, and if you enjoyed the video, hit a like, leave comments. This is my first Vanguard deck video, so I'm out.